Hello and welcome to section 1.4 of Econ 1 for the AQA exam board. Today we'll be looking at the PPF curve, looking at the opportunity cost in more detail, and also looking at economic growth. So let's look at what the PPF curve is. The PPF curve is a graphical representation of the alternative combinations of two goods that an economy can produce when using all of their resources. The PPF curve only looks at two goods, and these two goods can be any goods, such as guns and butter, wine and cotton, refrigerators and ice cream, or any others. The resources in the economy are fixed, and the PPF line shows the combinations of these two goods that can be produced when all of the economy's resources are being used. The resources in an economy will be fixed. So let's look at a PPF curve. The two goods in this economy are wine and cotton. We can see the table on the side that shows the combination of goods that can be produced when all of our resources are being used. When all of our resources are put into wine production, we can produce 9 million gallons of wine. And as all of our resources are put into wine production, no resources are going towards cotton production, which means that 0 million kilograms of cotton is being produced. So the maximum amount of wine we can produce in the economy is 9 million gallons of wine. We can also look at the maximum amount of cotton that we can produce, which is 9 million kilograms of cotton. In order to produce 9 million kilograms of cotton, all of the resources in the economy must be put into cotton production. And when 9 million kilograms of cotton is produced, 0 million gallons of wine is being produced. However, we don't have to just put our resources into producing one good. We can put some of the resources in producing wine, some into producing cotton. And the table shows the combinations of the two goods that our economy can produce when all of the resources are being used. Now we can plot our PPF curve. The PPF curve is the green curved line on the graph. Any point between the x and the y axis is obtainable, such as point V, S and X. S and X are on the PPF curve, meaning that all of the resources in the economy are being used. Point V is not on the PPF curve, meaning that not all of the resources are being used. This means that point V is not productively efficient. It is not productively efficient because we can produce either more wine or more cotton without having to reduce our production of either cotton or wine. For example, currently we are producing around 5 million gallons of wine and just over 2 million kilograms of cotton. If we keep our cotton production the same, so just over 2 million kilograms of cotton, we can increase our wine production from 5 million gallons of wine to just over 8 million gallons of wine. Alternatively, we could keep the wine production the same, and we could increase our cotton production from just over 2 million kilograms of cotton to about 7.5 million kilograms of cotton. Therefore, point V is not productively efficient because all of the resources in the economy are not being used. A point that is outside of the curve is not obtainable with the current resources in the economy. For example, point T. With the resources that we have, we are unable to obtain point T. But why is the PPF curve this shape? The PPF curve is this shape mainly because of the law of diminishing returns. The more inputs that you use for a good, the less outputs you get from it. If a nation focuses production on one good, it may have to use resources which are less suitable for that use, resulting in less output being produced with these less suitable inputs. When resources are then moved across to the other good, there is a massive increase in output of that good and only a small decrease in the output of the good where the resources were used to be used. The law of diminishing returns leads to an increase in opportunity cost, hence why the PPF curve is the shape that it is. So let's use the same example as before. Our economy is producing wine and cotton, and I've put 4 points on the diagram for us. We've got W, X, Y, and Z. I've chosen these points because there is a difference of 1 kilogram of cotton between them. At point W, we are producing 6 kilograms of cotton. At point X, it increases to 7. At point Y, it's 8, and Z, it's 9 kilograms of cotton. Between our 4 points then, we are increasing cotton production by the same amount, and we want to see what the opportunity cost of increasing cotton by 1 kilogram is in terms of wine, and how does this change as we move to putting all of our resources or more of our resources into cotton production. So let's assume our economy is first at point W. At point W, we are producing 6 kilograms of cotton, and we are producing 6 gallons of wine. By moving from point W to point X, we are increasing our cotton production by 1 kilogram. In order to do this, we have to decrease our wine production from 6 gallons of wine to 5 gallons of wine, which is a decrease in wine of 1 gallon. So moving from point W to point X, the opportunity cost of increasing our cotton production by 1 kilogram is 1 gallon of wine. So now we'll look at point X, and we want to see what the opportunity cost of 1 kilogram of cotton is at this point. So we're moving from point X to point Y. We work out the opportunity cost in the same way as before. So we see how much wine was produced at point X and compare it to how much wine is produced at point Y, which tells us how much wine has to be given up in order to gain 1 kilogram of cotton. We can see from the diagram that at point X, 5 gallons of wine was produced, and at point Y, around 3.4 gallons of wine was produced, which means that the opportunity cost is 1.6 gallons of wine, which is greater than it was when we moved from W to X. So the opportunity cost has increased. Now we can see what the opportunity cost is at point Y to gain in 1 more kilogram of cotton. At point Y, 3.4 gallons of wine are being produced, but at point Z, 0 gallons of wine are being produced and only cotton is being produced. Z is the point where all of our resources are being put into cotton production. So moving from point Y to point Z, the opportunity cost of increasing our production of cotton by 1 kilogram is 3.4 gallons of wine, which is greater than it was when we were at point W or at point X. Therefore, as we move towards putting more of our resources into the production of one good, the opportunity cost of that good increases. We can also use our PPF curve to show economic growth. Earlier, we had the example of point T that couldn't be obtained. However, point T can be obtained in the long run because of a variety of reasons, such as discovery of new resources, increased investment, technological advancement, an increase in education or training, or any advantageous supply-side factor. So, initially, our PPF curve is what it looks like on the right. Our two goods in our economy are teddy bears and guns. This economy has an increase in investment levels. Firms are choosing to invest in new machineries that produce teddy bears and new machines that produce guns. More guns and teddy bears are now able to be produced in this economy. This is represented by the PPF curve shifting outwards. And you can see that T is now on the PPF curve and can now be obtained. T is productively efficient because all of the resources in the economy are being used. So economic growth can be represented by an outward shift of the PPF curve.